Good morning. Today we are going to work with watercolors and learn different ways that you can use this medium to its fullest potential. So let's get started. To begin with, we're going to try to find the middle of our paper. And you can do this either by using your ruler or just by eyeballing it. And wherever you think that middle is, just put a little dot. Using your pencil. Any pencil will do. And then another dot, we want to put another dot that's to the right, about halfway between our middle dot and the edge of the paper. And another one that is again subdividing between the middle dot and the edge of the paper. These are going to be the middle of flowers. Now we're going to make another row of dots, basically the same distance down here. You can use this really easy measuring technique where you use part of your pencil as a ruler. So you just lay the pencil down so that the eraser lines up with the middle dot. You put your thumbnail where the second dot is, and that is the perfect distance between the two dots. We're going to rotate our pencil, use our finger to mark the same distance. Notice how I didn't change the position of my right hand when I moved the pencil. I just picked up the pencil, rotated it, put it down again, and then using my other hand, I give myself a little finger point where it is, and so that all of my dots are basically creating a grid with them all being the same distance from each other. And close is close enough, so don't get too stressed. These are just the middles of our flowers. And by having a nice grid, it just helps us organize it because I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways to make flowers using watercolors. Okay. It doesn't matter if your paper is portrait or if it's landscape. Maybe I'll just go ahead and make it landscape for now. So we're going to be working with our number 2 brush and our number 10 brush, and we want to prepare some colors. So this is my watercolor wheel with multiple levels of colors. I'm just going to start, I think, with the wheel that has red and orange in it. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. And the first thing that I need to do is use my spray bottle and spray those colors so that they, because they start out as dry pigment, watercolor, you need lots of water. Okay, so we're going to start with a method that allows us to put color in the middle of our flower and then draw it out with clean, clear water. So I'm going to start by taking my brush, dipping it in, and I like this kind of pinkish red. You can pick whatever red that you like. And I'm really kind of like smushing, not smushing. I'm using the tip of my brush and mixing gently water into the pigment. So I want to make sure and load my brush with lots of pigment. And then I'm going to make 4 dots of color. That's going to be my 4, the middle of my petals. Now I'm going to use just clean water on my number 10 brush. There's no paint in my number 10 brush. And check it out, this is so cool. Now I'm going to lay down my number 10 brush with my point. The point of the brush needs to just touch that color of pigment. And I'm making, with the outside of my brush, this kind of organic petal shape. Now I can rotate this around, again using the tip of my brush, just tipping into the pigment. We get some more clear water and using the outer edge of my brush to make kind of these organic shaped petals. And do you see what happens? That the clear water in my brush becomes a vehicle for that beautiful pigment that we put down initially to kind of wick into the edges of the petals in this really beautiful way. So you end up with concentrated color in the middle, and then on the outside is lovely lighter colors. I think that's just so beautiful. Now, you might see that the very first petal that I did, it's really wet. If I move my paper, do you see how it just like, it's super duper wet. If that bothers you, you can take a paper towel, wipe off the extra water in your number 10 brush, and then use it as a wick. And maybe just wick up a little of that extra water. All right, we're going to do the same thing with different colors. So now we're going to make petals, the shape of petals, just using clear, clean water. And then we're going to add pigment in and see what happens. So on the next row, it looks like I need to make my petals a little smaller. On my next row, and this is going to be a little hard for you to see in the video, but what I'm going to do is, using my center, I'm going to make a petal shape. And I'm really just looking at the glossiness of the water that's left on my paper, which is maybe hard for you to see on the video. Okay, now I'm going to come in, whoopsie, I'm going to come in and get the same pinkish red that I had here. I'm going to load my number 2 with lots of pigment. I still have water in there. And then I'm just going to touch it to the inside of my petals. Look at what happens. So it wicks. We're going to try one more set of flowers. This time, we're going to do kind of a combination of the 3. So we're going to take our large number 10 brush, lots of water, and I think I'm going to start down here at the yellow, which would have been a good plan to begin with because yellow is so light and bright. And anyway, I'm going to start at the yellow. I'm going to load my brush with clear, clean water. And then I'm just going to tip. This is my number 10 brush. I'm not pushing it down. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to load it with clean, clear water. And then just the tip of the brush, I'm swirling around and getting pigment, that yellow, beautiful canary color on the tip of that brush. And then I'm going to see if I can use the shape of my brush to make these shapes with concentrated color in the center and more water on the outside. I love these little flowers because they're so simple. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with my orange. So let's go ahead and add some leaves. Why not? So what we're going to do is take your pencil, and we're just going to give ourselves the stems for some of these leaves. So the leaves can come out from any place. Since we have some space out here, then I think maybe I'll utilize that space. So I'm just going to make some long curves that might be my stems. And over here, some curves. Okay, that'll just kind of help me. Oop, I don't really like that. I'm going to adjust that. Try to do it without getting my... There we go. Just trying to make these a little, I don't know, a little rounded. Okay, so now let's get our green. We're working on the outside, so while these are drying, we're going to try not to touch them. And we're going to get our water. I don't have too much color in here, so I think it'll work just fine. If you need to adjust it, then you sure can. And let's go ahead and with our number 2 brush, we're going to pick up some of the green, whichever green you like, it doesn't matter. And let's just go over our curves, little stems. Okay. And then we're going to use the shape of the brush. I'm going to show you. You can practice in your sketchbook first. So the shape of the brush comes to a nice point. If yours doesn't, let me know. And we're going to push down and then push up. And look, it's a leaf shape. Isn't that fabulous? Push down and then push up. And it's a perfect leaf shape. Now you can use your sketchbook to try the different colors and decide what you like. I'm not as crazy about the blue. I like the more yellow green. This is a more blue green. You can see that it's more blue and then it gets a little more yellow over here. So I'm going to be working with the ones that are more green or more yellow green. Okay, so I'm just going to off of my stem. I'm just going to push down and then push up and do it again. Push down and then push up. And maybe I find another place, maybe at the tip of this one. Push down and then push up. Push down and then lift up. See, maybe this is push down and then lift up. So now I'm ready to clean up, and the easiest way to clean up is to throw out your dirty water, but keep your cup for the next day. Rinse your brushes in the water, but also in the sink using soap and swirling the soap in your hand with the brush. That helps get soap into the ferrule, which is this gold part of your brush, and then rinse it out really well. When you're washing your brush with soap in your hand, you want to spin it, but you don't want to crush it. So I'm pulling and spinning like this. It'll work the soap into the ferrule. Don't crush it because you want to keep this beautiful shape. After you rinse your brush, take your fingers and bring it into that long pointed shape. And then with your paints, you can just take a paper towel and you can use it to absorb the extra water that's on top of all of your colors. And then you can restack your tower and it won't create a mess in your paint bin. There you go. Great job.